Welcome, my friends, and thanks for joining me. I'm Lorna Schumann with the Illinois State Museum, and today we're going to talk about a particular term they use in archaeology called culture. Now, when we talk about people who lived in the past, in the distant past, not near past, you will hear archaeologists use the term culture to refer to a group. So what is that exactly? Well, today when we talk about culture, we can easily say that groups of people living today and observe how they're living, that they share these common things. So oftentimes we'll talk about the American culture or the English culture or the South African culture or many other different places in the world to help us understand how those groups of people live. Well, it's kind of similar to that. Because we don't have direct records from people that lived hundreds and thousands of years ago, we have to use the items or the objects that they left behind to understand who they were and how they lived. They share certain things in common, and if that's in a large area, we call that a culture. So what are some things that they might share that we would leave behind? Well, some of them are shared tools like this and ways of making things. There's also art and design and decorations. But you can also use ways of items that were left behind that tell us what foods they might have eaten. All of these help us understand what kind of ways in life that the people long ago might have had. It's kind of like a fad. You know, when I was a kid, many of the younger kids around my age had pet rocks. That was all the rage. Everybody had to have a pet rock. Well, understanding these items is kind of like that. Today, you might see things like everybody's playing a certain game, or everyone's wearing a certain style of clothing. That's why when we look back, we can name what kind of style of clothing. Because what happens is one person finds a cool tool, everybody else looks at it and goes, wow, that's a great way to do that, or that looks really great, or I want to try that. And pretty soon, before you know it, everybody's using it. Well, our fads today are much shorter. But in the past, the type of tools and items that they used last for longer times. And so it helps us understand how groups of people were because we don't know what they called themselves. So the groups that we often hear that have these common things in common, we refer to as a culture. For example, one that you might have heard many times is the Clovis culture. That was found in major parts of the United States. But some others that are more local to Illinois, you might have heard things like the Woodland culture, or the Oneonta culture, or the Mississippian culture, or the Fort Ancient culture. All of those would have been ones that would have been found here. And you can identify them by some of the tools and the items that they used. Well, I hope that helps you understand how archaeologists use the term culture. Thank you for joining me today, my friends. Take care.